Good morning, everybody. Today I am very excited. I woke up in a good mood. I put on Cher's Believe, and I've just been kind of like dancing all morning to some 90s, early 2000s dance jams. So why am I so excited? It is because I have made the decision to leave this apartment. Now, there's been a lot of drama going on over the last week. So as you guys know from my last video, I've been viewing a lot of different apartments because my lease is coming up at the end of this month, which is in a few weeks. And so I wanted to see basically, could I find something that I liked more than where I'm living? And the answer up to this point, up to like a few days ago, was no. All of the apartments that I had visited were not better than where I was. So I decided to tell my landlord that I wanted to extend my lease. And she came over, I think already this happened on Monday, and today is Thursday, so this has moved very quickly. On Monday, she told me she wasn't sure whether she was going to extend my lease, but at best, she would extend it 1 year so that she could keep flexibility, as in like, she might want to give the apartment to her son, or she might want to move in here, whatever. So I was like, okay, well, fuck, because my lease is coming up on, New Year's Eve, basically. I don't want to be homeless and like desperate looking for a place around this time of year. And she's like, no, don't worry, I'm not going to throw you out. So as soon as she left, basically, I got back on Idealista, which is the real estate website, and started to like frantically search. Also, she was going to raise my rent in 100 euros per month from 1800 to 1900 euros, which she said is in line with the like inflation, basically. So then, you know what, I was like, well, I may as well increase slightly my price range search, because I had been looking up to 1800 euros on Idealista, and I was like, I'm going to increase it to 2000, because my plan also, as soon as possible, is to buy a car, and it's really hard to park in my neighborhood. So I would probably have to pay for a separate space in a parking garage that's like at least 100 euros a month. So I thought, okay, well, if I could find an apartment that also has a garage, then, at 2000, that's like more or less what I would be paying here. That night, I saw 2 apartments. I immediately contacted, asked for a viewing. The next day, I go on 2 viewings. The first one I didn't like. The second one, okay, so it was like, I don't know, like all the planets aligned, basically. Like I've had kind of a wish list of what it is that I'm looking for in a perfect apartment, which is 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, has to have a bathtub. I want to have a view, because I don't have that here. I want a lot of light. Ideally, it would be great to have a parking space. And I want it to be more on like the west side of Lisbon and not the like dead center where I am right now. This place meets literally every one of those criteria. And I kind of was like stupefied when I walked inside, because I could not believe that it actually, like I found a place that literally met every single one of my criteria. So, I told the agent after the visit that I like it, let's move forward. So flash forward now, this is just 2 days later, because that visit was on Tuesday. As I said, today's Thursday. So I'm making my breakfast now, and then as soon as that's finished, I'm going back over to that apartment just to have like a second viewing. Alright guys, so I'm going to narrate this apartment visit for you because I'm a terrible blogger and I didn't do it when I was there. Now, this neighborhood is called Alcantara, and it is right by the big Golden Gate looking river. It is on the west side of Lisbon. You can see, though, it's on this main road. So we're already now inside the apartment, and there is a very large terrace, which I've just stepped out on. So you can see when you turn your head to the left and you turn your head to the right, you do have a view. You see some hills. That big building over there is the Koof Hospital, which is the hospital that I go to. It's a private hospital. As I said, there was the bridge. So coming back in from this very large terrace, you come inside to the living room, dining room area, which is pretty open, has these 2 big floor-to-ceiling sliding door windows. And the apartment itself, it just like feels very 1990s to me, in the blonde wood and the finishings and all of that. I don't know actually how old this building is. So you see, though, we're walking through the hallway, you turn your head or you turn left and you enter into the kitchen, also very dated. Now, this ended up being something where I didn't like fully consider until later, but you can see there's not much counter space in that kitchen. There's not really a good place to cook. So over here, I'm pointing out, though, you see you have these like weird latch windows, and they weren't properly insulated or closed. So where that air conditioning vent is, it's just kind of like a hole. So cold air is coming in, a lot of noise is coming into that kitchen. All right, anyway, we left the kitchen. That was the first bathroom. There's two bathrooms total. First bedroom, so like both guest bathroom, guest bedroom. Then you come through like a little foyer, and then you get to the master bedroom, which has this built-in wardrobe area, and the second bathroom. Both of the bathrooms do have bathtubs. This one has a jacuzzi tub with vents. I never tested it out to see if it works. So the other thing about the bathroom is it's a little bit small, and it doesn't have so much storage space inside it as compared to the bathroom I have now. And also this built-in wardrobe space of the master bedroom. I mean, it's not really enough compared to what I have now. And I would have ended up having to buy an armoire or a dresser or whatever. So we're going back to show you a better view of the guest room. The guest room also has this built-in, wardrobe. So I guess I could have stored stuff there as well. And where am I going now? I guess back into the kitchen. I don't know why I'm returning into the kitchen, but again, you can see not enough counter space and a really crappy gas range that is really too small overall. So I'm just giving you this kind of full panoramic view. It did have this little kitchenette kind of table where you could sit, but I don't think that I would actually be sitting out there. All right, completely transitioning, I need to tell you that right after this apartment, I visited another one with that incredible view. And unfortunately, I didn't take video there. But this was in Castello, which is right by the big Castello San Jorge. And this apartment for 1,900 euros a month was gigantic. It was 130 square meters. It had 3 bedrooms. It was a duplex. It had 2 bathrooms, though both of them were in like real need of renovation. They were extremely old and, as you can see, like quite ugly. But I was hesitating a lot because I'd walk in and you just see this unbelievable view of all of Lisbon, plus the apartment had a garage, or rather had a parking space. And so I became quite conflicted and confused. I wish that I had done more video from that apartment because it was breathtaking, but I was a little bit like camera shy because it was both my friend Josh, but then the agent there was like a little bit, she kept like leering and lurking, and I didn't feel that comfortable to film. But anyway, the space was unbelievable. The moment you walk in, you are in front of this incredible view of Lisbon that goes all the way from, the middle of like the city all the way to the river, and views of the elevator de Saint Just, and the what is that called, the Carmo Cathedral, and just like unbelievable panoramic view from basically every room. So I'm trying to now like envision again. You walk in, and then to the left you have sort of a living room area. Then immediately off of that you have the kitchen, which was just remodeled, and then through that also you have like what would be a dining area, and it's a duplex. So then upstairs there's 3 bedrooms. There's also like a small bathroom downstairs. It's a full bathroom. It has a shower, but it's horrible. The bathroom is tiny and unrenovated. And then upstairs, as I said, 3 bedrooms and also a full bath with an actual bathtub, but very old style. And the bathtub is very small. It kind of didn't make sense the way that they had it installed, because then there's like extra space where they could have put like a bigger bathtub. And also a horrible sink, like one of these freestanding sinks where you don't have any space to put products or anything like that. And that would drive me crazy because I have a lot of products. I'm high maintenance, and I need a bathroom that accommodates that. So that was the only like negative. And both, it had 2 bedrooms, have a terrace. Like the place was incredible. I cannot believe that it's only 1,900 euros a month, because from everything else that I've seen in Lisbon, it seems like that place is worth more than that. Also, the neighborhood, it's called Castello because it's right by the Castello de São Jorge, and it's beautiful. Like, it's a very picturesque neighborhood. It's very European, very old style, cobblestone streets, very narrow. But the downside to that is, for example, it's a residential access only. So for that means that Ubers cannot get to that apartment, which is a problem if you want to go to the airport, for example. You would have to call a regular taxi, and who the hell wants to do that? I mean, same if you're like, let's say, coming out from a night of drinking, you'd have to get dropped and then walk like 5 minutes up the street to get to your home. So like the little minor things that I don't even think are, that don't take away from how magnificent the view from this apartment is. And you have a view literally, as I said, from every room, from the kitchen, from the living room, from all 3 bedrooms. The space is just amazing. Again, like a little bit, if I owned it, for example, you could do little like facelift tweaks that would make the space just, I mean, unbelievable and worth even far more than $1,900 a month. Like, it had this sort of old 70s style stucco walls, which is very dated, very ugly. As I said, the bathrooms, both of them are hideous. If they had an update, it would make the space way better. Like little things like that. But ultimately, you know, I think that the apartment in Alcantara is a better fit for me. Just because, I don't know, everything seems to align. Like the space, it doesn't have as magnificent of a view now that I'm comparing the two of them, but it does have a view. It has great light, it's newer, and I just think I could be very happy there. And because of its location, it's easier getting out of Lisbon. I think it's easier to just like get around the city from Alcantara versus Castelo. Like, you have to go through all of the tourist areas, all of the very steep roads are around there, very narrow, tons of tourists, all cobblestone streets. So it's also hard to both drive a motorbike and a car on those streets. So all that being said, I feel still pretty confident in my decision. So I told the agent of the Alcantara apartment, like, please do not show this apartment to anybody else. I'm ready, like, I'm 100% committed, ready to go on this apartment. Preciso de comprar cadeiras para essa mesa que vou entregar, depois também uma cama para esse quarto, porque eu tenho o colchão, mas não tenho uma cama. Então vou pedir essas coisas da internet e depois, como ficar, não sei, uma semana para entregar, né?
Não há problema.
So I just want to talk and give kind of my reaction to the fact that I've just signed this lease and I paid the 2,000 euros of deposit, which means that there's kind of no turning back now. And, you know, before I actually signed this contract, I was walking around here in this apartment for like an hour and, you know, trying to close all the blinds and close the door and kind of feel like, how noisy is it and what will it really feel like to actually live here, because the apartment has such a distinctly different feel from where I've been living the last 2 years, and almost kind of different from anywhere else that I've lived before, being that, I don't know, I think like there's really big windows, for example, and the fact that I'm right on top of the highway, I don't know, it has a very different feeling, and I'm trying to imagine what it's going to feel like to actually live here, you know, once I actually move in and my furniture is here and all of that. Like, right now I'm having a hard time projecting myself. So I have a really major update in this video now. It's, I think, about a week since the last time I filmed, when I was in the apartment and I had just signed the lease. And a lot has happened in the interim, which has been about 9 days. So I signed the lease, as I said, that day, and I was still feeling like super anxious, super nervous. And I returned to the apartment, I think at least two or three times after that, just to kind of get a sense of how the space was when there wasn't the agent inside and other people. And I went there one day more towards the evening, like around sunset time, to put up some curtains, because I really wanted to see, all right, how is the sound going to be if the curtains are installed and I close the electric shade and I'm just like sitting in that room by myself. And you could hear everything from the street. You heard ambulances, sirens, motorcycles. Like, the apartment just doesn't have proper noise insulation. And the thing is that those windows are so large, even though, as I was told, they're double glazed, like they're not blocking out the sound from the road, which is a lot. Again, it's kind of on that main intersection. There's a hospital right across the street. So I just started to get extremely anxious. I'm someone who is very sensitive to noise. You know, I spend a lot of time at home, and my home needs to be a sanctuary. Also, I tend to sleep like very late into the day. It's, I think, like 2 o'clock as I'm recording this video, and I've only been out of bed for a couple hours. So I need a very quiet, peaceful place, basically. And I was feeling like, oh my God, what did I do? You know, my apartment is generally very, very quiet. The only noise I can complain about is from the restaurant downstairs, but it's not a constant thing. In this winter, I've actually not been hearing it at all. And so I was just like, did I make the wrong decision? And what am I doing? And then I started to look at other things about the apartment that I didn't like. So the kitchen, for example, has very little countertop space to actually cook. You know, here behind me, you can see I actually have like a pretty large countertop, and it's sort of exactly like what I need, you know, for the appliances that I have and how I cook. And plus, like, this electric range that I have is pretty like big versus the one that was there, which is this gas range that was tiny. I was like, how can you even put 2 pots on this at once? Like, there's not enough space. So I started to feel like, you know, again, that this apartment wasn't going to be that livable. And then I was having thoughts of like, well, am I being unreasonable because, you know, it's just a big change and none of my furniture is here, and that's why also the space feels like very cold and impersonal. But to be honest, I just wasn't projecting myself there. And after I had spent that time in the apartment, I came back to this space and I was just like catatonic. You know, I was so depressed and anxious at the thought of moving. So I really wrestled with this. I talked to a bunch of friends, I talked to family to try to get some like perspective on what I should do. And I realized from my gut, like, I was having such a bad feeling that I can't move forward. So I called my landlord. This was now 2 days ago. And I said, look, is it too late to change my mind? I think, you know, I want to stay in this apartment if it's possible. And she said, well, I just signed the contract this morning with the agency to list the space. Let me check with them if I can take it off. Now, my landlord is very particular. She likes to do everything by the book. She's also like a bit lackadaisical and really takes her time about everything. It drives me a little bit crazy sometimes. But anyway, she called me back and she's like, yeah, it's not a problem. You know, if you want, you can stay. I guess under the same terms we had discussed originally, which is that she was going to raise the rent to $1,900 a month and only offer me a 1-year lease. And again, it's just like right now, the thought of moving in this window between Christmas and New Year's was stressing me out so much, because it's a time when I tend to feel quite vulnerable as well. You know, I don't have family here. I don't spend the holidays with family. And, you know, it's a time generally people are wanting to be cozy. So, like, to move to a new place and go through that readjustment by myself felt extremely overwhelming. Long story short now, as I think you can tell from the crux of this, I've decided to stay in this apartment. I'm just waiting for my very lackadaisical landlord to give me the new lease to sign. And I know I'm already going to lose the €2,000 security deposit that I paid for the new apartment, but, you know, when it comes down to it, I really am prioritizing like a place where I think I'll be happy as opposed to losing that deposit. I mean, I'm a bit frustrated with myself because I really think that I made a decision out of anxiety and also kind of like annoyance with my landlord, maybe even. But I had a lot of, you know, regrets about it, and then also just constantly thinking about that other apartment in Castello, the one that I didn't properly film but that had this amazing view. And I thought, you know, maybe I would have been happier there if I was going to move. I don't know, but I just don't feel ready to... I didn't find a place that I like emphatically thought was better than where I'm living, you know, and so it felt like this kind of lateral or potentially worse move. And again, just the noise in the kitchen, it wasn't doing it for me. So I guess the moral of this video also is just to show like it's really, I think, a challenge renting in Lisbon. I find that the inventory is not very good. Um, the pricing for apartments obviously has gone up a lot in the last years and continues to increase. I just saw an apartment today though on Idealista because I still get the alerts. Some place that like really think I think I would be happy in, and that was 2,300 euros a month. So I'm starting to see like the price range that I would need to look in to find a place that really like maybe fits me perfectly. That, for example, has a new kitchen and nice bathrooms and space and light and all of that, is more in the like low to mid 2000s as opposed to 2000 and under. So, you know, if you're coming from like a major city in America, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, San Francisco, the prices here are obviously still cheaper than there. However, I'm still kind of going through this sticker shock where I was living in much cheaper countries before moving here, Mexico, Thailand, Indonesia, and you know what you got for your money was just a completely different thing. So, wow, this has been long-winded. You guys know I can talk a lot, but I'm closing this video just to give that final update, which basically means we started at point A and we're ending at point A with going in a very big circle. So thank you guys for watching and for following along on these life adventures, trials and tribulations. I hope everybody's doing well. Have a great holiday season, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all of that. And I'll see you guys next time. Ciao.